Food. It's one of our most valuable resources. Yet here in Canada, 58% of food produced is wasted. That means it never ends up on anybody's plate. And even though in Nova Scotia, most of it ends up as compost, some of it still ends up in landfills, taking up space and giving off harmful methane gas. When we waste food, we also waste other valuable resources like soil, water, time, energy, and money. Why are we so wasteful with something so important? I'm Sam Sortright, and you're watching Rude to Our Food, a Waste Not News special report about food waste in Nova Scotia. Greetings, fabulous foodies. On today's program, we're talking about food waste in retail stores. Nova Scotian families get most of their groceries from a store, a place where the shelves are stocked with a seemingly endless supply of delicious-looking food. But have you ever wondered what happens to all the food that doesn't end up in somebody's grocery cart? Or what about the food that gets lost during its often long journey from the farm to the store? Sorry, little buddy. Canadians waste an estimated 35 million tons of food each year. About half of all that waste, 95 CN Towers worth, is totally avoidable. And what do we waste the most of? You guessed it, fruits and veggies. Now that's what I call being rude to your food. We're heading over to our awesome local grocery store, Local Source, to hear about all the great stuff they're doing to cut down on waste. Then later, we'll take a trip to Feed Nova Scotia to learn how food banks around the province recover food from other places to provide meals for people in need. With us today is our field correspondent, who is, well, also me. As you know, we're big on recycling here at Waste Not News. Sam, over to you. Thank you, Sam. I've heard that many Nova Scotian grocery stores are working hard to reduce food loss in their stores. That's music to my ears. But let's back up the shopping cart for a minute. We're here to find out why food sometimes goes to waste in the first place.
There are a lot of different reasons why food may go to waste at a store. We could lose a freezer or a fridge, and all that food goes to waste. It may be damaged on arrival, and I'm unable to sell it. Of course, I may have an oversupply, and I can't move things before they reach peak freshness.
Wow, so a lot can go wrong. How is Local Source working to tackle food waste?
Approximately 85% of our food that reaches peak freshness before being sold makes it to our prepared foods program or our bakery, where it becomes a stock, a lasagna, breadcrumbs, or an apple pie. If by chance we're unable to use that food in the bakery or the kitchen, it makes it to a food bank that day, so it ends up in bellies and not in dumpsters.
I really like what I'm hearing. And my research shows that selling more locally grown food also helps in the fight against food loss. Can you tell me a bit more about how some grocery stores are supporting local farmers and how that contributes to less food waste?
Supporting local farmers and producers is very important to us here at Local Source. All of our produce comes from right here inside Nova Scotia, meaning it doesn't travel that far, which means it stays fresh longer. There's less room for damage, and it just tastes better.
Well, sprinkle me with salt and call me seasoned. Keep up the great work. Back over to you, Sam. So the good news story is that it sounds like our province's grocery stores are working on solving the food waste problem. But what about Nova Scotia's food banks? Our friend at Local Source mentioned that some of the food they can't sell ends up in food banks. I wonder how they store their food to avoid waste. Let's check in with Sam in the fields. Thank you, Sam. I'm here at Feed Nova Scotia in Halifax. We know many Nova Scotia grocery stores send the food that they can't sell over here. But how does that work? Where's the food stored?
Our refrigerated trucks pick up rescued food pretty much every day from lots of grocery stores and other retailers. Things like milk and raspberries or packaged goods like soup and cereal. Basically anything that's good food but isn't able to be sold in the stores. They'll freeze foods as it's getting close to its best before date. They keep it frozen for us until we come and pick it up. They bring it back to our warehouse. We check it all over to make sure that it's in good condition so that we can share it with food banks and meal programs across the province. And they're even freezing foods that you might not think to freeze, things like yogurt and orange juice. We want to make sure that all of that good food gets to people that need it rather than going to waste.
How much of the food you receive in this giant warehouse is from grocery stores?
A lot of the food that we distribute does come from rescuing food through the grocery stores and other retailers. It's really important that we make sure that all good food is being enjoyed by people that need it. And it's not just from grocery stores. We get rescued food from farms and from the people that are making food. It's It's really important, though, that students understand that rescuing food and getting it out to people today isn't really the ultimate solution. Food is a human right, and we believe that everyone has the right to be able to buy the food that they want. And that comes down to not only having access to food, but having the amount of income that they need. That's what food security is all about.
Food security. I'm not sure I've ever heard that term.
Weird word alert.
Food security. Making sure that all people can access and afford a constant supply of safe and nutritious food. Is there anything you'd like to see happening with the grocery stores? Are there ways they could supply you with more food?
I think there's lots that we could all be doing to make sure that everyone has access to the foods that they need. But I would especially like to challenge students to get curious, to learn about where our food comes from. There's so much great local food produced here in Nova Scotia, and if we all work together, we can make sure that everyone is able to access it.
I agree. And we're back over to you, Sam. All right, let's recap. Food goes to waste in stores when there's too much of it to sell. Or too much to store properly. Also when it travels for too long. Or when it's just too late to sell it. So an important part of reducing food waste is grocery stores partnering with groups like Feed Nova Scotia. And we can help too. It can be as easy as choosing that freaky looking sweet potato at the store. It all tastes the same anyway. Join us next time as we continue to get up close and personal with how food can become waste before it hits your plate. I'm Sam Sortright, reminding you not to be rude to your food. This video was filmed on Mi'kma'ki, the ancestral and unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq people. We are all treaty people.